I've been kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired for my last job. Hot-wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Paid my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same. Ain't no way we'll ever change. Ain't no harm by the things we do, or the trouble that we get into. Well, in a while, every once in a while, we can't help it, it's just our style. Good old boys is all we'll ever be.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Action-packed, fun-filled show for you this morning. I'm Ash. He's Brent. Welcome on Magic, YouTube's, Facebook's, all the regular outlets. We're glad you're all here. Thanks for joining us.
You sound like Jerry Jones. I remember Jerry Jones saying, you got your Michael Irvins, you got your Troy Aikmans.
That's the vibe I was going for this morning.
Unbelievable. Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. For everything you need, there's Deerland Feed. My yard is obnoxiously green and lush. We mow it now. It's great to have teenage slave labor. We mow it at least twice a week. I don't like it to look like, ooh, Carter's yard needs to be mowed. I like it to look like, ooh, it just got mowed. 76 degrees under sunny skies today, heading to a high of 91. Chance of rain today in the afternoon. Chance of rain tomorrow, 40% tomorrow.
There were some slight showers in the area yesterday, but
light
rain.
National Weather Service warning this morning that it was observed that there was a lot of fog, but I didn't have any coming in.
I didn't see it either. Apparently the weather maps across the country are bright yellow, orange, and red because what used to just be called warm days are now called hot days in this climate catastrophe.
Well, we live in changing times.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a heat dome over most of the U.S. right now.
Could just be all those Iranian missiles coming into our airspace.
Could be.
Not. Boy, that de-escalated quickly.
Yeah, didn't it? Yesterday, President Trump announcing a ceasefire, and then yesterday, or early this morning, I guess, our time.
Yeah, 15 minutes ago in some cases. We're on top of this.
President Trump said both Israel and Iran have violated the terms of the ceasefire that was agreed to yesterday. A little bit weird, 6-hour timeline in which Iran had to stop doing anything or couldn't do anything.
Finish the mission you're on. He said.
Pull them back.
Why not just say turn the planes around?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
But I don't know if he's throwing a bone to one side over the other. Like if Iran says, we've already got guys in place, and how are we going to get them out of there?
Iran had to stop first. Then Israel had to stop.
6 hours later.
So you had a 12-hour window where they could keep attacking each other. And then the ceasefire began supposedly. And then already they're saying it's been violated by both sides, and both sides, Iran and Iraq, or Iran and Israel, are doing this to each other. It was them. It was them.
And here's the fact. It's just, here's what you're dealing with. Petulant Arabs. You're dealing with Arabs. It's just a different mindset. They're just not brilliant people. And here's the problem. I can understand.
No, you're dealing with, it's not Arabs in general. It's radical Islamists who want to control,
and Jews who should know better
and destroy.
The one I'm disappointed in is Israel. Israel already has plenty of fish to fry, if you will. They have plenty on their plate dealing with Gaza and Hamas. When Trump throws them the bone of there's a ceasefire, Israel should say, hey, Mossad, everybody come home. Let's refocus on Hamas. Let's eradicate that problem. And then we're back at peace. The only reason Israel claimed to be fighting with Iran was because they didn't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. Trump eliminates that problem. Israel should be done with Iran. Should be.
I mean, this was a ceasefire.
I have no reason for Israel to keep messing with Iran.
This is a ceasefire that Trump brokered even after Iranians attacked U.S. bases in Qatar.
Yes. Which that was a, did you know that it's worth noting?
Not much happened there, by the way.
The story was that Iran, I've heard 19, I've heard 16, but the story that I got where it was quoted by the Minister of Defense was that they sent 14 missiles, which was the same number of bombs that the United States sent. And they gave the U.S. a heads up. We're going to send 14 missiles at that base, at that location, at this time. And the U.S. shot 13 of them out of the sky, and they said they set one free because it was going off in its own direction and wasn't a threat to the base.
That was the one they ordered from Kim Jong nut job in North Korea.
From North Korea.
Yeah. Stephanie Connie, Junior Sample, Scott Tomko on the podium this morning. Good morning, Linda Chris, Torrin Bales, Bobby Leister, Will Vincent, Heather Stewart, Marvin Mickish, Mark Kurtz, Rena Scherer, Ricky King, Greg Garcia. Good morning, Marina.
Hello, Marina.
Jordan Glass, Scott Snow, Janie Rivera Gonzalez.
Hello, Janie.
David Glass, Monty Howard.
Stay down, dog.
Cody Bauman, good morning.
Hey, Cody.
Andrew Alvarez, Judge Posey. Let's see who else. Monty said he's got jury duty. There's Jackie Parsons, Mark Cepeda, Jarrett McCrugan. Good morning, cuz. Andrew Alvarez says if Iran isn't careful, they're going to be turned into glass.
Disagree. I don't disagree.
Good morning. Yeah, I think you just drop a few more bunker busters.
That's all you have to do.
But you don't let them hit the bunkers.
You just break their spirit.
Drop them
onto
on the
take
sand.
Much. That one, yeah.
There we go.
There you go. So, you ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready. Hey, we're joined.
Are you ready?
Well, I'm more than ready. I'm ready. I've got the look. I got the gavel. We're not. You want to hold it?
No.
I'm not messing around. We're joined by the Honorable Sheriff A.J. Louderback, House District 30 State Representative, coming in off a rapid, busy, work-filled first session. Nowhere near your first session, but your freshman session in the House. How was it? Give us the highlights and tell
1,500 or 1,100, almost 1,200 bills signed by the governor. You guys
Absolutely.
passed.
9,000 plus bills filed. Good morning, men. Good to be here.
Good to have you.
Good to spend time with you guys and try to alert your constituents to a little news. We've got exciting times going on, right?
What's your take before we get into the state? What is your take? You know Donald Trump. What's he doing? Is he playing chess while they're watching checkers, or is he just flying by wire?
We're watching probably the evolution of history of probably the only man that could do what he's done right now. We're living in an age of history making, that Trumpism, whatever you want to call it, but a guy that's probably put Iran in its place and saved a nuclear war. I don't know anyone else that could have done that.
And yet, no good deed goes unpunished. The left right now is upset because his tie clashed with his, lapel pin.
Although several members of the Democrats had to admit that Trump was right.
Well, the Democrats are never going to be for leadership. So when you got a strong leader in place, he makes decisions that affect this world. I mean, that's what you got to have. That's what we elected him for, and that's exactly what he's doing.
The Democrats' answer to the Middle East was to send money to Iran.
Exactly.
Treat them favorably. Donald Trump says we're not going to do that. Drops a bomb on them. We had a ceasefire. Apparently, reports this morning it's been broken, but things are tenuous over there all the time.
Well, let's go back there and remember that, because Obama and Biden permitted Iran to do this.
Absolutely.
And they are culpable in everything that this is going on.
And you go back before that, because the Clinton administration also allowed Russia to supply them with the missiles that could have been that are capable of carrying a nuclear warhead to our shores.
But Trump's first term had Iran in their place. And then Biden came along and gave them a bunch of money, which they used to fund terrorism to hurt us.
Let's remind everyone all the pallets of money that were sent over there, which is actually true.
Brett Goen checking in.
Hey, Brett.
Greg Garcia. Greg says Trump could cure every disease known to man. The Dems would still find something to gripe about.
True story. True story.
Yeah.
Well, Linda Chris says they got their enriched uranium out. That says a lot about future intentions. We're making that assumption. I saw some satellite photos that showed a line of dump trucks. I'm not sure that you carry enriched uranium around in dump trucks, and there were like 30 dump trucks.
I don't
So
think
I'm like,
it's
there's
not
not
like
that
it's
much
it's not like it's
uranium.
explosive, but still.
Well, but the thing is, if they did do that, our satellites can detect they were followed. Okay, our satellites can detect the
They know where
like
it
the
is.
Geiger counter. They can tell that there's
Enriched uranium.
there.
Enrich uranium to 60%, go to 90 in a short period of time. We know that this was the case. Everyone's known. There's no doubt in anyone's mind, and the ability for them to start using this against Israel is a very real
Now all
possibility.
you do is you just watch the Amazon deliveries and see where they get their next centrifuge. That's all you do. Is you just watch as they reach out
and their pagers.
Yeah. And
How
their
much do you think the
pagers.
world has kind of learned? Because remember back in the 70s when India was buying nuclear reactors from Canada and some other countries in Europe in the guise of nuclear power. And the next thing you know, India's got nuclear bombs. You think that sort of history lesson is playing in here? That's why we're watching Iran so closely, because A, they can't be trusted. And with all the oil and gas they have, they don't need nuclear power.
With their history, you just have to, you can't underestimate them. They've been a promoter of terrorism in the world here in the U.S. I mean, they say what they're going to do. It's telegraphed.
Yeah.
What it is.
Shift gears back to the state level and tell us what you want us to know about this last session. How did it go? How do you feel?
Well, it went good. Every session as a non-member, the 10 sessions I went to, pretty much standard things. We always get some things done. We move the needle a little bit and then don't get some things done here. I was especially concerned about the fact that we didn't get the STAR test done this session, and I wanted that removed in a little bit shorter time period, where testing could be done in a shorter time period. I think we do have to test our kids, and I think we all have to be reminded that there were massive changes to the education system this session, historical changes, historical money. And, there's so much we could have talk about with HB2 and the financing of schools. We really made some tremendous strides in how we funded the schools and how we funded them, and in what way can we bring accountability back to public school systems, because it's really the overall scheme of things. It's educating the children. That's what it's about. It's about educating our children and getting a better outcome for education standards. And so I think you'll see, and if we're going to do a town hall here in the next several months. So kind of a breakdown on HB2 and what it does and how it puts money in the system where schools are held accountable for those dollars. And of course, it was a 48% of the state budget. School people, ex-school people can always claim about this state doesn't fund enough, but we clearly put enough money. What they want, 90% of the state budget.
I was going to say it's 48% now. I've heard it said that if the legislature said, okay, 95% of the state budget is going to education, within 2 sessions, the educators will be back going, we want that other 5%.
Absolutely.
But we don't care about sheriffs or we don't care about anything about law enforcement. We want that other 5%.
Certainly seems that way.
Jonathan Williams adds, hopefully in 2 years, property tax reform can be a priority.
Well, it should be. It should be. And again, that's another failure of the system. I don't know why the Republican Party didn't have it as a priority. I'm already urging RPT Texas to bring this up and make this a priority with the governor, lieutenant governor, speaker, where we can get something done about property taxes.
Special session called yesterday by the governor. You'll be back in Austin July 21st, I believe.
Yes, that's correct. Correct, Dave.
30 days. I know you're going to want to work every Friday during the summer as you were during the session, and we'll see what happens there. Andrew Alvarez wants to know if you can comment on Senate Bill 3. That was the THC bill that just 6 years ago, the state, Dan Patrick and Governor Abbott were standing beside each other, lauding the fact that we had legalized THC products, and now they seem to be at odds a little bit with each other. Dan Patrick coming out basically yesterday, I think, and saying that Governor Abbott is for the legalization of marijuana, and I'm not sure Abbott's for that. But Andrew Alvarez wants to know what your thoughts are on maybe even putting it on a ballot and letting the voters decide, or are you more aligned with Governor Abbott or Dan Patrick on this one, the stance they're taking?
Well, I think what bothers me about it, we do have medical marijuana here. But I don't think that we put enough dollars in the fact that we've only got a few dispensaries. The cost is high. I've heard from a lot of veterans that are using some of these products in lieu of other narcotics and opioids and things like that, which I think is a good thing. But also, I think we have to balance the fact that we've got to protect our kids in our high schools. I've had several hundred people remind me that the smell of marijuana, the smell of weed in our schools, in the bathrooms, in different places is still a problem. And still, we've got too many children with the brown vials that you buy at convenience stores in their pockets and their backpacks.
For their vape?
Absolutely. Vape. Well, vape, the oils, different things. And you got to understand that these products are unregulated.
Yeah.
We don't know what's what's inside of them. We don't know what's in those brown vials for $9.98.
They could have fentanyl in them.
Absolutely. And several, actually, Lieutenant Governor Patrick independent tested a number of these products out of convenience stores. And they had everything from 5% THC to on up or close to double-digit THC.
In his veto statement, according to Texas Scorecard, Governor Abbott said he agreed with the need to regulate intoxicating hemp products, but argued that Senate Bill 3 would be dead on arrival because of legal vulnerabilities and the court challenges that were
we do
pending.
have good businesses here in Texas that are selling legal hemp products. So I think a compromise can be worked out. Get to a constitutional standard that all Texans can live with. And
there were a lot of people that spoke on both sides of this. Those whose lives have been impacted negatively by buying these products off the shelf and over the counter, and a lot of especially veterans that are relying on them for PTSD because of budgetary concerns and things. So I think it's probably good that we're taking.
As always, it's a balancing act. As a career law enforcement officer, I've never been for THC. I've seen the devastating effects that it has on our kids and the young youth, and it's not good. But we're going to have to find a balance. We're
looking here at our friend Gary Schmeckel, who had a career in law enforcement as well. And undercover was a person that was involved in firsthand knowledge of the drug trade. He says he's a firm believer that marijuana, THC, is the gateway drug.
Well, and interesting, just last week, you and I were talking about a story on CNN that the new marijuana, and because it's so potent, is leading to more and more health problems that aren't just associated with smoking, heart conditions, lung conditions, addiction problems. So it's interesting.
So you got right off the bat several comments. Andrew Alvarez says, "Great insight and honesty. Thank you for your words." Ricky King says, "The problem is that medical marijuana is extremely expensive, and the THC is extremely cheap, and they both work the same." Peter McNally comes right behind that, our resident liberal friend, and says, "Forget it. Prohibition didn't work." There is some logic to me that if you totally ban THC, the cartel says, thank you very much, because the cartel will then supply that need or that demand.
Well, medical marijuana is here, and in reducing the cost where it's a manageable program, seems to be doable to me, and I think it will be at some point in time. But a rehash of what's going on here, and to your point, Ash, go to any state with recreational TC that's been legalized and look at the social problems that's caused. I think
Colorado,
I
Oregon.
think we have to be careful here. I think we've got to be smart about it. We've got to be balanced. Above all, we've got to balance what's going on here.
And what I heard the governor say was not, I think he takes for granted that Texas knows that he's not a pro-drug governor. But he does say, look, there's already been lawsuits filed against this legislation, and it's going to get tied up in the courts. And he literally said, we need something that'll work now. I want things that'll work now. So, folks, we're visiting with, we call him Sheriff, and you call him the Honorable State Rep, AJ Louderback from House District 30. Great friend and contributor to the program for years now, long before he decided to run for state rep. What do you see? What's the number one thing that you can think of, or a couple of things you think of that, man, I wish we would have gotten to that? And then why didn't we get to that this session? You got anything that comes right to mind?
Yeah, I'm concerned about the abortion pills. That probably was a very telling thing that several of us in the House were, and actually some senators too, that we were not able to get to. We're not able to change it all. There's a number of failures every session, things that don't get done. We put some things in place for water. We didn't put some things in place for power that I wanted to do, but several of us, as we congregate and communicate every day about the failures and the pluses that we were able to get done.
I haven't had the opportunity publicly to thank you. You worked in concert and back and forth late nights with Senator Lois Kolkhorst. Thank you for that. Thank you for accomplishing what I think we overwhelmingly on the program agree is going to be a boon for the Victoria community to have A&M Victoria. What a great job you folks did. Everybody just kind of acted like that was no big deal. I was there. It was a big deal. It took a lot of time, a lot of effort, and there was a lot of back and forth.
Plus, when you know that in history here in the state, sometimes these things have not worked out, and the House in its chaotic state and things that can happen in the state, state House, House of Representatives. We were very pleased to bring Texas A&M here. I think it's going to be a monumental game changer for the district and for the area.
Well,
and I think a very, very good fit.
Is
for our culture here on the coast, for this district on the coast here. I think this is going to be, not that U of H was not, because I think U of H did a great job. They stepped in here when no one else did, and raised the bar on higher education, and they need to be commended for that. But I do think that A&M is a perfect fit here.
Yeah, the ag, the engineering.
Absolutely.
But you know what? I will tell you that I have confidence in the Aggies, and I'll tell you why. You said, sometimes these things don't work out. Money is not the issue. You need to look no further than their College Station-based athletic program to see that they will throw endless amounts of cash at a project, even if it never pays any dividends. No return, no trophies, no anything. They just keep pouring that $600 million stadium, $75 million to get rid of a coach. I think A&M Victoria is set. We'll be building dorms again in no time. Ash has no comment.
I hope so. I hope so. I do.
Dorm.
I hope we do. I hope we grow.
Or in Canadian, a dormitory.
I hope we hit 5,000 students.
We're looking
here.
for renewed interest. I've had a lot of parents reach out.
It's exciting.
Very, very positive about where their kids and grandkids will be going to school.
Well, I think the Aggies, I've said as a proud Texas grad, no better fit anywhere than A&M in Victoria.
Well, remember,
hats off to
absolutely.
everybody.
You know, it's a system just like Texas is, the University of Texas system is. And so the Aggies aren't coming here, but the A&M system is. And
But their
that's the
ability
differentiation.
to focus on, I'm sure there will be agricultural focus. I can picture an
Ranching,
ag farm
agriculture.
outside of town, an ag farm. And in all fairness, having benefactors in town, John Sharp has ties here. T. Michael O'Connor, Mr. Thomas, these folks that care about a lot of great Aggies in this community. John Paul, there's a lot of great Aggies. A little drop off in cash. You know, I went from T. Michael to Cliff to JP, but there's some people in that gap that are still on the yacht.
And let's thank, Senator Colcourse did a heck of a job the year prior to meeting at the session.
She's awesome.
So she did the heavy lifting on this thing. A lot of credit goes to her.
We had her on the program and got rave, not like we get for you, Sheriff. We had rave reviews about having the senator on the program. She's a special lady, powerful lady. We like her very much. So we know you've got to run.
Yep.
It's you've got well, you can tell them you've got a meeting.
Little VDEC meeting and another meeting after that. So
what do you think is going to be? What do you think is going to be the priority in this special session?
it'll be the THC ban. That'll be the priority. There's 5 other bills on there, but ranging from water, there is a human trafficking portion on that I'm extremely interested in to get that corrected. So we've got 6 bills that we need to look at right now on the governor's list.
26 of the bills that were passed, he did veto. So those are the priorities. So
yeah,
absolutely.
All righty.
Well, we've enjoyed our
guys.
visit, sir. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
We'll let you. In fact, I've given you a clear pass to sneak out. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. Was House District 30 State Rep AJ Louderback, great friend of the program, great friend to anybody that knows him. Folks, today is Tuesday. I'll get to that, P. Strauss. Palace Bingo Thursday night, where friends meet friends. Get to Palace Bingo and have a blast with the Wade and Carter crew. P. Strauss has been there, I think, hasn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
I think he should be on Thursday night. Why not? I want to see what that comment up there is.
Yeah.
Palace Bingo,
We'll
where friends meet friends. USA Concrete Coatings, Charlie Garcia and his team, 578 Home. Let Charlie Garcia come out and help you make your concrete dreams come true. You got cracks in your slab, you got cracks in your driveway. They can put down a tough as nails polyurethane coat that won't crack, stick, peel, or fade. Cover up any blemishes in your slab. Veracruz Restaurant. Today is Pre-Caldo Tuesday. Get in for the full slate of Mexican food. It's the best there is. Best guac, best queso, best salsa, homemade chips. Later in the evening, they have wine-based margaritas that are phenomenal. They are. Get in and have one.
Oh, I'm not doubting you.
Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Let Allen be your go-to to. You need to get from here to there. You got a problem on the roads. Let them help you. The chopping block. What do you got, Ash?
Well, $13.99 a pound ribeyes. Big sale this week. $5 a pound chicken breasts. $3 a pound whole fryers.
That both the $3 a pound for the fryers and the $13.99 for the ribeyes are both bargains.
And they've got $3.99 pound pork steaks. You can't beat a pork steak.
No, pork steaks are great,
but you can get beat with them.
All the ladies love a pork steak.
They do.
Get in there and get that. Dollar Floor Store. Whether you want tile, hardwoods, carpet, veneers, vinyl, and they've got luxury vinyl. That's
ceramic tile.
Now. Fantastic.
Yeah, they've got it all.
Go ahead and see Tamara. So back to, let's see what the comment. I want to clarify for Patrick Strauss, because Patrick, I don't know, Patrick's as proud an Aggie as I am a Longhorn. And he says, no return, thousands of well-educated graduates. That is what a university is all about. No denying it. Texas A&M is a fine higher educational institute. I was making a mostly tongue-in-cheek joke that my very literal Aggie friend let go right over his biased head, that they pump millions and hundreds of millions into their athletic program for very little return. Who's making that comment?
Jonathan Williams says Ash is hoping for that $600 million stadium. Actually, I would be hoping for $600 million to fund a bunch of stadiums, because that's transformational.
So I'm going to read this verbatim and then answer it. Kathleen Leininger says, if we are concerned about the auto pen replacing the elected president, why are Texans not concerned? I guess I could put the camera back on this. It was a placeholder for AJ. If we are concerned about the auto pen replacing the elected president, why are Texans not concerned about the inaccessibility of our governor and the majority of his voice coming from the office of the governor and not from Abbott himself? I think the inaccessibility of the governor is, certainly an opinion. I'm not sure how accessible our governor has ever been. But I'll tell you that what is he in his fourth or fifth term? He's pretty much got being governor down to a science. I don't feel like representation from Governor Abbott is lacking. I don't have a problem with the governor at all. But I do see that maybe you would like to see more of a press conference type mentality from the governor, and he's just not inclined to do it. He's like, yeah, I'm the governor. I've been doing it for years. Are you folks offended? Obviously we would love to have with no humor, kind of a bedtime story day with the governor where he comes out and talks to you. But I don't know that we're not represented by the governor. And I know that Kathleen's making a legitimate point that, the governor is he's not accessible. Okay, I can go with that. I just don't think it's a problem. Patrick Strauss says every time they put millions into the stadium, all of a sudden UT follows suit. Patrick, we can have that argument all you want. The amount of success between the two schools is indisputable. The abyss between our trophy rooms is so inexplicably large as to befuddle anybody with any objectivity. It's not a put down. I wasn't putting down A&M. I was making a joke. The jokes write themselves about athletics in CStat. Let's don't do that. Let's be better than that. Lisa Poole says had the chopping block wings last week. The honey pepper was deluxe. Yeah, they were huge. They do a great job. $4.99 a pound. I think they're $4.99 a pound tomorrow on Wacky Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Patrick still gets wound up about A&M athletics.
He's not wrong though.
Come on. Well, he's not wrong. But Chris O'Connor's doing all he can. By the way, the Aggies have I don't think that Kyle Field's any nicer than DKR, but I do think that Bluebell, the baseball facility, is vastly superior to Dish Falk.
I think one of the best in the country.
And I think you should hide and wait because I think that Texas is about to embrace their SEC-ness.
Appreciate you covering for a second.
I didn't even notice you were gone.
Too much coffee.
You're gone so much.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, Scott Tomko. But at least it was, you can't put on. I found it. Yeah.
Well, where was it?
In the restroom where I went to deposit some coffee.
Tinkle?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, it's talk radio. I can't throw on Stairway to Heaven like I used to back in the day.
You could throw on a Depend, but it would make you look puffy in your Mott and Bow jeans.
And at least I didn't have salmonella and wasn't throwing up, so that's good.
We typically charge everybody to, as you know, to talk about their product on here, but you've had good success. You see that ad, those Mott and Bow jeans. You've enjoyed them, right?
I have. Yeah, they're very nice. Oh, yep. Junior says try the fillet at the chopping block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, Scott? I agree. Hey, David Broderick.
It doesn't happen much. Neither one of us really leave. Usually we're pretty good for lasting the hour.
He says put a urinal in the corner, but we could just put a urinal right here. And like, don't cross the streams like mid-show.
I'm not going to read Monty Howard's.
Yeah, he says his old firm did Dish Falk.
Yeah,
and it is archaic.
And he's a Longhorn.
But you know what, Monty? Part of the problem with Dish Falk is there was a time, and that has changed. But there was a time that that the state tournament was always at the Superdrome, and the state tournament was always at Dish Falk. And if you're not careful, you can't play on natural grass and play 600 games a year on it.
You can't do that on artificial grass either.
You can't.
Wears out.
But I love the idea. I think it's very old South that everything. Texas is the only school in the SEC that doesn't have natural turf, natural grass for their field. So that'll be a remedy, but you don't just remedy it in the middle of the season.
No.
So there you have it.
So back to a little more on the THC banning, because this seems to be the big bill. I'm surprised that, it's legislative special session, but Texas Scorecard has a really good article on the problems or the issues that Abbott thinks need to be rectified in the bill. He said basically the exact same bill was passed in Arkansas and it's going under a bunch of legal challenges and likely will not survive. So that's why he vetoed it. But he thinks you got to regulate hemp products similar to alcohol. THC, among his proposed reforms, would be banning sales of THC products near schools or parks. I think this is basically for show.
Yeah, it is.
Because the kids aren't just, they're buying it wherever they drive by.
Right. I agree 100%. But the idea, but yet you still have beer sales at the Texan adjacent to West High School.
Yeah.
It's kind of hypocritical, right? If it's legal, why can't I sell it wherever you can sell beer, which causes a lot more death than weed?
Yeah. Local opt-outs and an excise tax to fund enforcement. This has been my issue with the whole thing from the beginning is if they're legal, then why aren't we just enforcing the laws on the books now?
Right. Let's put an extra tax on it to dissuade you from using it, which I guess is what they do with cigarettes. What's a pack? I don't know. A pack of cigarettes are what, $9 now?
No idea. But,
I mean, is it 50 cents a cigarette? Is it $10 a pack for 20 cigarettes? I don't know.
You used to hear the bus all the time of stores selling stuff with THC illegally with too much in it. I don't know. They want to restrict access to those retailers to restrict access to those under 21. So that sounds like you're going to have to be 21 or older to buy the products legally.
Scroll down and it says Abbott acknowledged the dangers posed by unregulated THC, citing a case in Houston where a 15-year-old ingested gummies, suffered a reaction, and then shot his mother and sister. It's a stretch for me, but it happens.
Yeah, what was in those gummies? But again, gummies.
PCP.
Yeah. Did he take more than the one that he was supposed to take?
Right.
I don't know. Sales only allowed between 10 a.m. and 9 p.m. No sales on Sundays. Felony penalties.
For the Baptist, that's makes you feel better. Like it's just like booze.
Yeah. And felony penalties for fraudulent lab reports. So going after the manufacturers for saying that this meets whatever that threshold is.
If the manufacturers are Chinese, good luck.
Yeah.
You're going to extradite somebody over weed.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Peter McNally says the beer lobby is very, very strong.
Wow. Christy Thurman says cigarettes are $14 a pack. Wow. I mean, I knew guys that said, well, I only smoke when I drink, and they were smoking 3 packs a day. It's like, well, quit drinking so much.
We're huge in Chicago this morning.
Good morning, Chicago.
There's Adam Daughtry checking in. Good morning to you, sir. Let's see what else. There's a couple other things I think that I wanted to get to up here that were talked about. Sugar says, did y'all hear Representative Sheriff Louderback canceled the table of elements in Texas? He said, we only need the element of surprise.
Yeah, I like that. Well, what do you guys make of President Trump? He comes in, he tells, we called it. He gave Iran 60 days. On the 61st day, the Jews bombed them. That wasn't a coincidence. That was orchestrated. And then he goes on and he says, I'll make up my mind in the next 2 weeks if I'm going to do anything. And all the Democrats, well, he's going to war without talking to us. Do you really want Adam Schiff and Chuck Schumer making decisions about whipping somebody's fanny? I don't. They're weak. They're cucks.
Yeah. There's the other thing too, right? Oh, we're going to war. We're going to war. No, we dropped 14 bombs.
Very successfully.
And that's been it.
Super duper bomb raid. And nobody was hurt. We didn't kill a bunch of Iranians. We didn't kill any Americans. We came back. They decided, okay, look, hey, we got to do something, man, right? We got to save the face for the regime. Here, they set up some missiles that we got to shoot down. And then they said, okay, we agree to a ceasefire. Trump says that both Israel and Iran came to him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they both answered the call when J.D. Vance called him. I don't know. His ego is being stroked by himself. That's okay. I agree with Representative Louderback that there's no other single man on the planet who could make this happen right now. Benjamin Netanyahu certainly could not. And I reiterate my disgust that Israel is violating the ceasefire. If either country should be in agreement with or walk in lockstep with the United States, that should be Israel.
Christy Thurman says, go America. Sherry Jacobs says, go Trump. Stephanie Miller, we're big in the YYC this morning. We're bringing the jokes. Says Trump's building a new golf course in Iran and the first 3 holes are done.
There you go. He's already put in the first 3 holes.
I like that.
But I don't understand why. I mean, I don't understand why Israel would violate that. You're right, Kathleen. It's worth noting there were no leaks. And that's significant because in the Biden White House, there were leaks about everything and not just Joe's dependence.
Well, and in the first Trump White House, there were leaks about everything.
Yeah, well, because Trump didn't learn his lesson, right? Well, he learned his lesson this time.
And that's why there's
he
no
had
leaks.
the holdover. He let some of those people that were there under Obama stay. Oh, they've been here 15 years. Okay, they can stay. And the next thing you know, there was nothing private to the White House.
No.
Everything
Well, they all
was-
wanted to sell their books, right? That's what they all ran and did. He's just chilling out there.
He's chilling out there, but he's all proud because look, if you look, his little bits are hanging out now. It's about time to get him neutered. Yeah, Peace Trails points it out. That's right, Kathleen Leininger, because the Dems didn't know about it. I think he's exactly right.
Well, because it didn't, yeah. I mean,
They didn't know it was going to happen.
No, absolutely not.
But they're all bunched up and they're doubling down on being angry with the president. If this ceasefire holds and you're a Democrat, Lindsey Graham yesterday was going through an entire presentation on the floor talking about, and then under Obama, they shouted death to America at, the UN. And then under, Joe Biden, and then under Trump, they said death to America. He goes, at some point, you've got to listen to what they're telling you.
Yeah.
I think that the president acted decisively, boldly. Is he acting right?
No, yeah, he's just chewing on his bone.
And if this
He's good.
ceasefire holds and you don't give him like something symbolic, a Nobel Peace Prize or something, I think you've lost your minds. I mean, you just hate the guy all you want. All he did was avert nuclear disaster.
Even the Wall Street Journal reporting that Trump has scolded both sides for
Good for him.
not living up to the ceasefire.
Trump left the White House this morning on his way to The Hague at a NATO meeting Wednesday. He's scheduled to greet the King and Queen of the Netherlands. Who'd have thunk it?
And then attend a dinner tonight. We watched a little bit of that this morning. I mean, NATO's what? A couple of dozen countries?
Yeah, there were
I don't
200 people
at
in that
least
hall.
200 people listen to the Secretary General speak. I mean, I guess you want a packed house, but who really needs to be in attendance? Who's there? Is it all the CEOs from Lockheed Martin and General Dynamics and all the military industrial complex? I guess probably countries sent all their junior dignitaries there.
Junior Simple says no one knew about the bombs because Trump didn't holla at Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah.
Jerry McCrugan says, I'm surprised and impressed they achieved a strike and ceasefire so quickly.
Jonathan Williams says apparently he has been named a finalist for the Peace Prize. I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, if the Abraham Accords weren't enough, and there's Dems saying that Trump's just a warmonger.
Which is the dumbest comment ever. He hates war. He doesn't want boots on the ground ever. I mean, what he did, like I said, if this holds, he just pulled off one of the greatest military accomplishments in the history of the world. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Linda Chris sums it up. Trump does stroke his own feathers a lot, but I believe his intentions for this country are good. I think his actions repeatedly show that he loves the United States of America. His actions.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I mean, his words too, but his words also show he loves himself almost as much, if not
Sure.
more. Should we take our final break?
Sure. A lot of things get done because of narcissists. No getting around. White Trash Services, White Trash Site Services, whether you need it torn down and hauled off or you need weekly or monthly trash service. 550-1826. You'll be greeted by a friendly voice of a human being.
Become a new customer now, and you'll be entered into a drawing that'll take place in a couple of weeks in early July. And you'll, because of their 11th anniversary or in celebration of their 11th anniversary, you can win 11 months of free trash collection for new customers. So
if you have
sign up
garbage, press 1 now. We don't have that. They go, hello, White Trash. Can we help you? Hello, hello, hello.
Absolutely.
Call back.
Parvita Wellness, get in, get healthy. Stop by today.
Great pre-made meals. Go in, talk to Eric about what you're trying to accomplish.
Several of our listeners today said they stopped in
absolutely.
yesterday.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Clayton Fernandez. As you guys are the bee's knees. That's something his grandmother told him years ago. I love it. I think that's fantastic.
Chesnick Furniture Company.
Chesnick and Love make your house a home.
You just always do better at Chesnick.
You do. Great folks. They have all the
accoutrements.
I just love to make you speak French.
I know you do.
Yeah. Sure.
It's the only French you're going to get from me.
Stop it. Oui.
I just did that.
Over 100 years. Great folks. Get in and see them. Brand us, Commander Cody. Enjoying
fatherhood.
Little
Everly, little baby girl.
He looked confused. Yeah.
Doesn't quite know what to do with a baby girl.
Not yet.
Or any baby.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Atzenoffer and atzenoffer.com.
Yeah. For all your Chevy needs.
Yeah. But they can service any make or model. I mean,
oh, you bet. They service, my Ford.
They service your Mercedes when you have
absolutely. One. They do a great job and they take the time to research what they need to do for you. Go by Atzenoffer today, buy a new Chevy. You'll be thrilled with it. They're extremely competitive and they're making deals because they're stacking them beat, selling them cheap.
Selling cars like candy bars. The flags are flying.
Just down the road from higher prices. And then Went Services, Went for all your electrical needs. Generac generators, American made in Wisconsin. Generac entire home generators. You can sit there while the grid is down, whether it be for heat, whether it be for a storm, with the assurance and the peace of mind that your refrigerator is not going to go out, your AC will be on. Hurricanes happen in the summer, folks. You don't want to be like, it's like we're just far enough away from Harvey that people forget.
Yeah.
Reach out to Generac through Went Services. Do it today.
So a lot of talk that the pressure being put on the Fed to lower interest rates. No real sign that the tariffs are having the disastrous, catastrophic effect on the economy.
Where's the inflation? Where's the price of eggs?
2%, about where it was when in Trump's first term.
Price of oil went down yesterday, folks. Stock market went up.
Stock market futures up this morning too on news of ceasefire.
After the president stabilized the Middle East.
Yeah. Populous Times poll, also in conjunction with CNN, shows that most Americans still believe hard work is essential for success. Only 54%, though. This is troubling. 67% of Americans in 2016 believed hard work was what led and it was essential for success. That's now down to 54%. I think part of the problem is you have too many young kids that don't want to live or don't want to go to work somewhere.
That's right.
They want to live where all the action is. They don't want to sacrifice and live 8 people in a house. They want their own apartments.
That new Gen Z or that new group, those folks come out, they've got aspirations, right? They want to run companies. They want to see themselves at the top of the mountain, but they don't want to climb it.
And
they don't want to climb the mountain.
I know some younger folks that are doing what they have to do to make it in this world and living in, with 8 million roommates and trying to make it. But for the most part, that ambition is gone. The hard work is not believed to be essential for success, and that's a problem.
Wow. Yeah, agree.
Let's see what else. The poll also showed Republicans were better on fighting crime and law and order.
No doubt about it. The Democrats are soft on crime, always have been.
And that the party closer to your economic views is the GOP, the Republicans, as opposed to, and that's
CNN reported that as well, and they hate having to do that. That's just breaks their hearts.
It really does.
Now, there is some logic that you've heard it said before that the Republicans just don't govern very well. But I think in part that's because in general, they don't try to tell you what to do as much. They don't govern as much as the left.
And that's what happens every 2 years. They tell you, well, they're not governing. They're not doing enough to control your life as a government.
Again, we're now only 200 days into Trump. Not even. Not even. And the Democrats still have no clear leaders. They have no leadership. They have no agenda except anything that's anti-Trump. And America is seeing through it as Trump has win after win after win in spite of. Like, he's trying to run a race with Chuck Schumer and Adam Schiff hanging on his ankles, and he's still winning. It's worth noting. He's still winning.
Yeah, a couple of economy points that'll be out today. The Case-Shiller Home Price Index for April due out when we close the show.
What's that going to tell?
Where the home prices are. I think average price of existing homes eked up a little bit in May.
Is that good?
No, probably not. Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Survey for June due out this morning as well. And Fed Chair Jerome Powell will testify before the House Financial Services Committee. So expect a lot of financial news tomorrow. The problem is when home prices go up and interest rates don't fall, makes it tough to sell your house. Ricky King says, I've seen the hands-on type work like plumbers, electricians, welders are becoming thing to do to make more money because they're not able to replicate it through AI. I was listening to a story yesterday of somebody who his son through high school was able to get a welding certificate, and that is how they are putting themselves through college. They don't want to be a welder forever, but they realize there's very good money in it, and it's going to allow them to get to college and pay for it and be debt free. That's a great lesson for kids. Take advantage of the trades programs in your high schools. You fill a void for now. Maybe you'll like the trade and make a living at it for the rest of your life. But if nothing else, you're going to do it for 6 to 8 years as you go through college, whether it's a bachelor's degree or your MBA or something like that. But the other thing is, you'll always have something to fall back on.
You're right. You can't get AI to go out to the ranch and mend a gate. I had a buddy of mine that was vastly successful in the insurance business who made the comment, if I had it all to do over again, I would have gone to work and become a master plumber. And by now I'd have, 50 trucks. And there you go. Governor Kathy Hochul, what do you make of her? I think the Dems are trying to keep her on the low simmer on the back burner, potentially as a presidential candidate later.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I don't see it. I think she's an idiot. She directed New York's Power Authority to develop its first nuclear power plant in 50 years and the country's first in more than 15 years.
Are they still, because New York's close to Pennsylvania, 3 Mile Island. Do you think that's been the problem that's been in their memories?
It's so dumb. Nuclear power, it's been running ships for the Navy for decades. It's the safest thing you can do.
And outside of the earthquake in Japan, we really haven't had an issue except for mismanagement in Chernobyl, right?
Yeah, that was not. American nuclear power gives me zero fear. They could build one right out here on the Guadalupe, and I would go eat the glowing fish. It wouldn't bother me a bit.
Better than the microplastics that are in some of them anyway.
Yeah.
Interesting new study. Epoch Times reporting this morning that a higher than expected number of miscarriages and other forms of fetal loss associated with COVID-19 vaccinations in Israel.
Got to follow the science, right? If the science doesn't confirm what your predisposition is, you still have to follow the science. If the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine led to more than normal fetal death, it's something you have to look at, right? But of course, we gave them immunity. You can't sue them because we got to do something. It can't just be the flu. We've got to overreact because that's how we govern.
Limited study. Researchers found 13 fetal losses, 4 more than the 9 expected for every 100 pregnant women who received the COVID-19 vaccine during weeks 8 to 13 in pregnancy, according to the study. Published as a preprint on the MedRxiv server. Most of the people in Israel received the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. Pfizer, of course, not responding to comment.
By the way,
or
limited
request for comment.
study, but I'll let you do the math. They
Yeah.
looked at 226,395 pregnancies, and it went from 9 to 13. I think it's a significant spike. I think it's an undeniable spike.
And they looked at fetal loss for pregnant women after one dose or dose 3 of the vaccine. So that's your full dose plus a booster. And this included miscarriage, abortion, and stillbirth. 226,000 pregnancies over the 6-year span. I guess they're trying to say that that's the limited study. It was a 6-year span. I don't know. Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Is right.
We're going to find out more and more of these sorts of studies are going to come out over time. And
I'm glad I had the Moderna. It just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I still got COVID twice, but your symptoms were less. Prove it.
I mean, does it really, other than it's just interesting, does it really matter who the mayor of New York City is anymore?
No. There's 11 candidates.
On the Democrat
side.
The primary for New York City mayor begins today. Andrew Cuomo.
Very interesting. He's returned to politics following sexual harassment allegations. He's run a centrist campaign focused on public safety.
He had to move from the left to the center because Trump's the president.
But here's what I don't understand. Remember, we used to ask you, whatever happened to Andrew Cuomo? Why wasn't he held accountable for all the deaths in the nursing homes? He's the one that, as the scientific community is preaching that herd immunity doesn't work, which it does. The scientific community was wrong. He was loading everybody up into one big nursing home and letting them all infect each other.
Yeah.
When we all knew that if you're old, fat, or sick, you're going to die.
And had comorbidities.
There you go. The old fat people in the New York nursing homes died.
Cuomo, the favorite to become the Democrat nominee.
Great.
11 different candidates.
Let him be the guy. Who cares? New York's a cesspool.
Yeah. Oh, let's see what else is happening.
Dolly Parton's doing
I have no idea.
Yeah. Maroon 5's got a new album. But she's doing her last full concert series since 2016, or her first since 9 days. 6 concerts from December 4th through the 13th.
You know, that coincides with the NFR. I think that's right before the NFR starts in Vegas.
She
So that
can
makes
still
sense.
sing, make no mistake.
Wonder where that'll be. That would be cool if it's in the Sphere. Been there?
Got a friend that just went and saw Kenny Chesney at the Sphere and said it was unbelievable. Now, she's going to be at Caesars.
She'll be at Caesars.
She's got to be what, 80? She looks amazing.
Yeah,
of course, she's always looked like.
It's happening during the national final. So there you go. I thought it might have been right before. But
she's always looked put together by science.
Tickets will be on sale Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time. That makes it noon our time. So if you're interested in going to see Dolly in Vegas, there you go. Hasn't done a Vegas run since the mid 90s when she was at the Mirage. So it's been a while since she's posted up in Vegas for a while. See what else. Stephanie Miller says, can people sue their employer for forcing them to have the shots or get fired? I don't know how that's working out.
I don't think so.
There's been some high profile cases. The former head football coach of Washington State sued Washington State University in the state of Washington, and it was thrown out. So I don't know.
Junior Sample says he's proudly unvaxxed. Said Stewart adds, I'm a defiant, pure-blooded human as well. The only reason I gave in was Dawn. She wanted to go travel, and we had to have it in order to travel. To leave the country, you had to have it.
Actually, you didn't. To get back into the country,
yeah,
you had to have it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I got it because we were planning to go to Canada, and in order to get back into the country, Canada didn't require me to have it to get into Canada. Joe Biden required me to have it to get back into the U.S. if I left the U.S.
Yeah. But there you go.
which I thought was interesting.
Kathleen says, if you've got the vax, find a natural detox to restart your natural immunity.
I think it's probably to the point where it's
probably washed itself out of my system by now.
Absolutely. That's what I'm hoping for anyway.
Me too. I no effects on me.
Not at all. None at all. ICE planning to be defiant against the judge's order to release Kilmar Abrego Garcia. This, of course, the MS-13.
Why does a federal judge in Tennessee order the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia? Is the guy in Tennessee? He was a Maryland man, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was being held in Louisiana for a while, but he's not expected to go free. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement likely going to take him into custody to possibly try to deport him. He pleaded not
just bring
guilty
him
to
back
smuggling
and then
charges.
send him to Honduras. I mean,
that was the other interesting thing is the Supreme Court did rule that Trump was allowed to send people to other countries that aren't their own of origin. So
amen.
Very, very interesting.
Folks, top of the hour,
get rid of folks.
Special thanks to Sheriff A.J. Louderback, our House District 30 state rep. Great job by him. He's available. Find him on Facebook. Send him a note. Ask him your questions. He is not afraid to tell you what he thinks. We aren't either. We'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow is Caldo Wednesday.
And Wacky
Get
Win
ready
Wednesday.
for the day. Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.
Driving 120 through town. I've been